The tuck rule. When it comes to weird NFL rules, few have sparked as much debate or as many conspiracy theories as the legendary tuck rule. Officially introduced in 1999, the tuck rule stated that if a quarterback began any forward throwing motion, even while tucking the ball back toward his body, a subsequent loss of possession would be ruled an incomplete pass rather than a fumble. This turned into a colossal firestorm in the 2001 AFC divisional playoff game between the New England Patriots and the Oakland Raiders. Here's the scene. Foxborough Stadium, swirling snow, and the Patriots down by 3 late in the fourth quarter. Tom Brady drops back to pass, appears to pump the ball, then, depending on your perspective, either starts tucking it away or tries to bring the football back in. Charles Woodson comes blazing off the edge for the Raiders, knocks the ball free, and the Raiders recover what looks like a game-ending fumble. But then the tuck rule rears its head. Officials examine the replay, decide Brady's arm was still in forward motion, and declare it an incomplete pass. Patriots keep the ball, drive for a tying field goal, and ultimately win in overtime, launching the first chapter of the Patriots' modern dynasty. Raiders fans dubbed it the snow job, claiming the rule effectively handed the game and maybe the season to New England. Even neutral fans found the call baffling, wondering how a near-complete tuck counts as an incomplete pass. Critics argued that it was basically a confusing technicality that gave quarterbacks too much leniency. By 2013, the league had heard enough protests and did away with the tuck rule, acknowledging it caused more headaches than it solved. Even so, its legacy remains huge in NFL lore. It's the perfect example of how a single line in the rulebook can reshape not just a game, but potentially an entire era of football. Ask any Raiders fan about it, and you'll get an earful. But whether you consider it legitimate or ludicrous, it's a milestone moment that cemented its place in weird NFL history. The palpably unfair act. This next entry sounds like something out of a legal drama, because it basically grants referees near unlimited power to correct an outrageously unfair scenario on the field. The palpably unfair act is a catch-all rule that says, if a team commits a blatantly unjust action that robs the other side of a rightful score or big play, officials can step in and award the non-offending team what would have happened under normal circumstances. Picture this: a rogue coach stepping onto the field to tackle an opposing player sprinting toward the end zone, or a bench warmer jumping in from the sideline to swat down a pass. Those moments are so egregious that a simple 15-yard penalty isn't enough. The palpably unfair act allows referees to hand out the ultimate remedy, like awarding a touchdown if that's what was about to happen. In an ultra-competitive league, it's a nuclear option to ensure a dirty trick can't stand. Historically, there have been bizarre incidents in football's past, plays that make highlight reels of, "Did that really happen?" Because of those fiascos, the NFL decided it needed a rule that covers every scenario too crazy for standard penalties. It rarely rears its head because most NFL teams wouldn't dare commit such an overt act, knowing the consequences would be swift and severe. Fans might remember the Woody Hayes punch, though that was in college, not the NFL, or a couple of times staff on the sidelines got too close to the action. But the next time you see something unbelievably bold, like someone physically interfering from out of bounds, think about the palpably unfair act. With one whistle, the officials can rewrite the game's outcome on that play. It's a testament to the NFL's mission to preserve fairness at all costs, even if it means stepping in with an absolute hammer of justice approach. It sounds dramatic, but hey, that's how the league ensures that the strangest stunts don't pay off. Before we move on to the next one in the list, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you're enjoying this content so far, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch these videos without subscribing. Imagine what we could accomplish if everyone subscribed. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. Thanks to all of you who do. The Holy Roller Rule. Raiders fans love it. Chargers fans hate it. Everyone else just shakes their heads and thinks only the NFL could spawn such a rule. The Holy Roller is a nickname for a wild play in 1978 between the Oakland Raiders and the San Diego Chargers that forced the league to tighten regulations on advancing a fumble. Here's the setup. Raiders quarterback Ken Stabler, running out of time and trailing by 6, fumbles the ball forward as he's being hit. Raider fullback Pete Banaszak tries to grab it, can't, and smacks it forward again. Finally, tight end Dave Casper falls on it in the end zone for the game-tying touchdown. Oakland's kicker boots the extra point, and the Raiders steal a 21-20 win. Chargers fans cry foul, insisting it looked suspiciously intentional. To prevent teams from using accidental fumbles as a strategic advantage, the NFL introduced a rule that says on fourth down or in the final 2 minutes of a half, only the player who fumbled can advance the ball. If another offensive player recovers it beyond the spot of the fumble, the ball is returned to that original spot. No more last-second volleyball sequences to push the ball into the end zone. Forward, hoping a teammate can dive on it closer to or even in the end zone. That might make for chaotic highlights, but it doesn't align with the spirit of fair competition. Even though it's one of those NFL artifacts that started from a single wacky play, it has real game implications. Next time you see a desperate fumble in the waning seconds, remember that 1978 fiasco. The Holy Roller gave birth to one of the NFL's most peculiar but necessary clarifications. Illegal forward pass. We all know the NFL is a passers league. Quarterbacks routinely throw for 4,000 or 5,000 yards in a season, and the highlight reels are chock full of bombs downfield. But even in this pass-happy environment, the rulebook keeps a tight leash on how and when a forward pass is legal. Specifically, a quarterback can only throw one forward pass per play, and it must be released while he's still behind the line of scrimmage. Cross that line or try a second forward pass on the same down, and you've committed an illegal forward pass. Why does this matter? Well, once that first forward pass is in the books, the only way to keep a play going is with laterals or backward tosses. You can't just do a quick shovel pass forward, let a teammate toss it back to you, and then fire it forward a second time. That might work in backyard football, but not under NFL rules. We've seen quarterbacks like Russell Wilson or Patrick Mahomes come dangerously close to stepping over the line while launching a pass. Sometimes they realize at the last millisecond that their foot is over the threshold and eat the ball or try to run. If they do cross it, you can expect a flag. The penalty often includes a loss of down and yardage, which can stall a drive in a hurry. One comedic twist is watching a quarterback scramble all over the backfield, step just beyond the line of scrimmage, and then retreat behind it again, only to forget that the chance for a legal forward pass is gone if he's already gone past that line. Defenses love to point at the line of scrimmage like an invisible barrier you can't cross with an arm cocked back. This rule also explains why a final desperation play at the end of the game typically involves all those frantic laterals. Once the forward pass is done, you're only allowed to keep the ball alive by pitching it backwards or sideways. So, if you ever see a second forward toss in a single play, wait for the laundry on the field, because the official's microphone announcement will be something like illegal forward pass, offense. That's a free chunk of yardage for the defense, all thanks to one of the NFL's quirkier but crucial limitations. The Goalpost Doink rule. Every football fan has heard that nail-biting doink off the uprights. Sometimes it's heartbreak, sometimes it's sheer joy. Here's the bottom line. If you kick the ball, it hits the upright or crossbar and still goes through, it's good. 3 points for you, or 1 point if it's an extra point attempt. But there's a twist that most casual viewers don't realize. If the ball hits any overhead wires, camera cables, or other foreign objects suspended above the field, the officials can call the kick no good or replay the down. It all comes down to a level playing field. The NFL wants your success or failure to hinge on your kicking ability, not some random cable or scoreboard structure in the rafters. In especially modern stadiums, think the massive scoreboard at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, there's always a concern about punts or place kicks scraping the big screens. In a real game situation, if that contact changes the ball's trajectory, the officials can blow it dead and have you do it again. That said, most fans and players focus on whether the ball simply crosses the plane of the uprights without hitting any such obstacles. The upright itself is a fair part of the play. Doink it and bounce through, you're golden. Doink it and bounce out? Sorry, no dice. Chicago Bears fans still have nightmares about Cody Parkey's infamous double doink in the 2019 playoffs against the Eagles, where the ball clanged off not just the upright but also the crossbar before deflecting out, ending the Bears' season. All told, the comedic bowing sound of pigskin on metal is one of the most memorable audio cues in sports. Whether it's absolute dejection or last-second relief, that moment can define a game, and possibly an entire postseason. Just be thankful that if you do hit a random camera wire, the NFL won't force the ball through or out. They'll simply reset, acknowledging that it's an external factor not intended to influence the game. Scoreboards and cables? Off limits. The goalpost? Well, that's all part of the show. The lost helmet rule. Talk about a momentum killer. You're in the thick of a play. Maybe a linebacker is blitzing full speed, or a wide receiver is dashing toward the sideline, and somebody's helmet pops off. What now? The NFL's lost helmet rule basically says if a player, who's not carrying the ball, loses their helmet during a live play, the officials immediately stop the action. That's it. Whistle blows. Play ends. Why? Player safety. A helmetless athlete is too vulnerable in a game defined by high-speed collisions. But there's a noteworthy exception that cranks up the drama. If the ball carrier's helmet flies off while he's still in full stride, the play continues until he's downed by contact, steps out of bounds, or scores. So yes, you could theoretically see a running back dash another 30 yards with hair flying in the wind, though it's extremely rare and somewhat dangerous. The league is basically saying, look, we don't want guys diving at a helmetless runner, but we also don't want to punish the ball carrier if his gear just flew off. The impetus for this rule is simple. The NFL wants to avoid scenarios where someone's face collides with a full-speed tackle. Helmets are crucial for preventing severe head injuries. As the league has become more conscious about concussions, rules like this have grown even more stringent. Of course, it can lead to awkward moments. Imagine a defense working up a perfect pass rush. The helmet of the blitzing linebacker gets dislodged, and he's got a clear shot at the QB. By rule, the play is immediately over. That pass rusher has to just let it go. It might feel anticlimactic, but that's a small price to pay for preserving health. If you ever see a helmet rolling across the field, you'll likely hear the whistle within a split second, unless it's the running back's helmet. Then hold your breath for those final yards, because that collision could be savage. The lost helmet rule is a testament to how far the NFL has come in prioritizing safety without totally undercutting the intensity that makes football so thrilling. Inadvertent whistle. Referees are human. Sometimes their brains tell their mouths to blow the whistle at the worst possible moment, and that's where the inadvertent whistle rule becomes your heartbreak or your salvation, depending on which side you're on. Basically, if an official accidentally blows the whistle during a live play, that play is done. No matter if a receiver is streaking wide open down the field for a certain touchdown or a fumble is rolling on the ground ripe for the scooping. Once that whistle sounds, the action is over. The usual procedure is to spot the ball where it was when the whistle blew, or to replay the down if possession isn't crystal clear. The reason is fairness and safety. When players hear a whistle, they tend to ease up or stop entirely, so letting the play continue could create confusion or even collisions from players who didn't realize the whistle was unintentional. Sometimes this rule has caused massive headaches. Take the 2015 game between the Patriots and the Bills. Tom Brady was scrambling, and an official thought he stepped out of bounds or was about to get sacked, so they blew the whistle prematurely. The result? The play was immediately dead, no chance for further yardage or a pass downfield. Both teams ended up disgruntled for different reasons. The Bills wanted a sack. The Patriots wanted a big gain. Instead, we got an inadvertent whistle fiasco. Replay reviews don't automatically bail out the refs either. If the whistle kills the play, that's final. You can't suddenly say, we'll just count that touchdown anyway. It's a tough pill to swallow if you're the offense on the brink of a highlight reel moment. But this rule also spares the defense from having to chase guys who legitimately believed the play was dead. Football might be a game of inches, but it's also a game of ears. A single, unintended whistle can transform an entire drive's momentum. So if you ever see a bizarre stop in action where nobody seems to know what's going on, keep your eyes on the officials. It's probably the dreaded inadvertent whistle in all its confusing glory. The fair catch kick. Think you've seen every trick in football? Say hello to the fair catch kick, a bizarre gem that rarely surfaces but is 100% legal according to NFL rules. If your team makes a fair catch of a punt or free kick, and the clock still has time left. No matter if it's a single second, you can line up at the spot of the catch and attempt an uncontested field goal. Yes, you heard that right. The defense must give you 10 yards of space, like on a kickoff, and you can try a free kick for 3 points. What's the catch? You can't use a tee. You either drop the ball on the turf for a drop kick or have a holder place it. Plus, you only get this opportunity immediately following the fair catch. You can't run another play in between. This is particularly useful in end-of-half or end-of-game scenarios, where the punting team tries to pin you deep, but you call for a fair catch around midfield. If your kicker has the leg, you get a free shot at a long, untimed field goal. Although you don't see it often, there are real examples. The San Francisco 49ers tried it in 2013 with Phil Dawson, and every few seasons, some team in the league might dust off this relic of a rule, typically in a last-second situation where they can't mount a drive for a normal field goal attempt. College football shares a similar rule, so it's not strictly an NFL oddity, but it's definitely one that casual fans are shocked by every time. Historically, this rule harks back to football's origins in rugby. A fair catch used to grant the catcher a free kick for points. Today, it's mostly obscure because your average NFL coach would rather rely on a methodical drive than a tricky long-distance fair catch kick. But if you ever see a team lining up while the defense stands back 10 yards, no one rushing the kicker, and the stadium collectively going, "What is happening?" you'll know they're attempting the elusive fair catch kick. Don't blink, or you might miss one of football's rarest sightings. Number eligibility. Ever wonder why the lumbering lineman who's wide open downfield can't just catch a pass and rumble to glory? That's thanks to the NFL's number eligibility rule. Typically, players wearing jersey numbers 50 to 79 are automatically ineligible to receive forward passes. They're designated as blockers, not pass catchers. If they do want to catch a pass in a game, they have to report eligible to the referee, who then announces it over the stadium speakers. If they don't, and they catch a pass anyway, you can bet a penalty flag's coming. This rule helps defenses identify who's a potential receiver and who isn't. Imagine the chaos if 300-pound linemen could inconspicuously slip into the end zone on every snap without prior warning. The NFL wants to keep the game structured, so they require that if an offensive lineman plans to line up as a tight end or another eligible receiver position, everyone must be informed pre-snap. One of the most famous trick plays involving this rule came courtesy of the New England Patriots under Bill Belichick. They used ineligible and eligible players in unorthodox formations, confusing defenses. For instance, a running back or wide receiver might temporarily align as an ineligible lineman number, while a lineman wearing 60-something reported as eligible and lined up outside. Defenses got so flustered that they complained to the league, which led to clarifications, though not a complete overhaul, of the number eligibility protocols. When you watch an NFL broadcast and hear the ref say, "Number 78 has reported as eligible," that's your hint that the big man might be running a route. Keep your eyes peeled for a potential highlight. Every so often, fans go wild over the spectacle of a 300-pounder spiking the ball in the end zone after a surprise touchdown grab. It's not just showmanship. Coaches do it to exploit defensive mismatches. But the league makes sure those moves are transparent enough to keep the game fair. No secret weapon nonsense. If you want to surprise the defense, you still have to announce your intentions, albeit in a subtle public way. The dropkick. We've arrived at arguably the quirkiest relic in the NFL's modern rulebook, the dropkick. Rooted in the game's early days, a dropkick involves letting the ball fall from your hands, bouncing it off the ground, and kicking it once it rebounds, hoping to send it through the uprights for 3 points, field goal, or 1 point, extra point. Believe it or not, it's still 100% legal in the NFL. It just happens to be absurdly difficult. Prior to the 1950s, drop kicks were all the rage, especially when kickers towed the ball straight on instead of today's soccer-style approach. But as equipment, technique, and strategies changed, the drop kick fell out of fashion. Enter Doug Flutie in 2006. At 43 years old, in the final game of his career with the New England Patriots, Flutie stunned everyone by executing a successful drop-kicked extra point. That was the first time anyone had done it in an NFL game since the legendary era of players like Earl "Dutch" Clark in the 1940s. Naturally, fans and commentators lost their minds, turning it into an instant highlight reel. What makes a drop kick so tricky? You need impeccable timing. The ball must bounce exactly right, and your foot must connect at the precise moment. Miss by a fraction of a second, and you've got a wasted play. In today's NFL, special teams rely on a holder and a snap for consistent placement, removing the unpredictability of the bounce. Coaches generally don't want to risk precious points on a technique that's notoriously hard to perfect unless it's more of a showpiece move. Still, the rule remains on the books, a living tribute to the sport's roots in rugby-style play. On the off chance you see a punter or quarterback drop the ball to the turf in a modern NFL game, don't blink, because you might witness a rare throwback moment. If it sails through the uprights, it counts just like any other field goal or pat. Sure, it's a novelty now, but it was once the standard method. It's a compelling reminder that while the NFL constantly evolves, it still carries echoes of the old-school, rough-and-tumble days of pigskin glory. Covering all things NFL. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe and stick around for more high